Hello, and welcome to the Success Series interviews. Obviously, I'm Susanna Mihailovic, and my goodness, I am super excited to introduce our guest to you all today. Ben Handler is one exceptional person. I have had the privilege to do the Mindset Clinic in his company, Buyers Agent Institute, and oh my God, impressive is not even the word that comes close to this young man. Just absolutely incredible. A heart-led leader, so down to earth, just amazing in every single way. So if you are joining us live or watching the recording, please pay attention. You'll learn so much from Ben. Absolutely incredible. One of the questions that I was asked by my mentor many years ago, Bob Proctor, was who would you love to sit around the table with? If you had 5 or 6 influential people that you could have dinner with and spend time with, who would that be? And I tell you right now, one of those would be Ben Handler. So just a little bit about Ben before I bring him on board. So Ben has an acute knowledge and extensive experience across the buyer's agent landscape in Australia. He is one of our leaders in Australia, if not the leader, when it comes to buyers, agents and the real estate market. So he brings a unique edge to the industry. Having co-founded Australia's largest buyers agency, Cohen Handler, Ben built and mentored an expert team who together amassed residential and commercial purchases up to $3 billion. Ben exited Cohen Handler and launched Buyers Agent Institute, BAI. So BAI is an online education that is Australia's fastest growing and largest platform, teaching people how to turn buying property into a career. So are you all ready? If you want to know anything about successful business, about having another source of income, about becoming a buyer's agent, no matter what your background, this is the place to start. So let's welcome the incredible one and only Ben Handler. Hello, Ben. Hi. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the very kind introduction.
It is so great to have you. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on the Success Series interview. Like I said, impressive is not even, it's way beyond impressive, the great human being that you are and everything that you've done. You've obviously achieved a lot, and I know that your schedule is very, very busy. Thank you for being with us here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your definition of success.
Okay, I currently live in Byron Bay, from Sydney, New South Wales originally. Love business, so straight after school went to university and just did the usual, pathway that one would take. Went to university, studied building, construction and property, ended up working at a public company in a 9 to 5. Thank God, biggest gift, I was made redundant. And then the entrepreneurial journey started from there. And the business that you mentioned, or Cohen Handler, that was my first taste of business. And then since then, I've run multiple businesses. And then you obviously help in a wonderful way serve our community members at the Buyer's Agent Institute, which is an online education platform where I teach people to turn buying property into a career. In terms of success, what that means, I mean, my definition of success has changed a lot over the last decade. Especially the last 10 years, it's changed a lot. Right now, I guess two things come to mind. One is balance. So success to me is balance, like balance in family, balance in professional life, balance in personal life, balance in hobbies, like balancing all those critical areas in the life, which I personally, from my experience, have found very challenging. I used to be a workaholic, very, very focused on work, and that was the feel. So balance is a big one for me. And then I would say like peace from mind, like a peaceful mind is something that I really value, and I would say is a very big, I would say, indicator of success for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned, thank you for starting off with balance, because we are living in a society where most people find it very challenging to develop or find that balance in their lives, like paying off bills, working, bringing up children, so much responsibility and so many demands, and so many feel the time pressure and, not being able to find that balance in their lives. You mentioned that there was a point where you felt that you weren't balanced. What brought you to, creating that balance, and what are the suggestions that you could give people that are in business, that want to get into business, about really starting to create that balance in their lives?
I think for me, in retrospect, I was working 7 days. Work was the most important thing for me at that stage of my life. Like it meant everything, and that came at a cost. So comes at I guess a cost of your. I think for me, like my mental well-being. I guess at that stage I wasn't happy. I was chasing so hard that nothing was ever good enough, and so I think I just got to a stage where I was like, I can't personally continue living like this. Even though I was very successful in the business world, I guess you could say that I was like life poor rather than being time poor. I was life poor. And so I think for me, the trigger point was I was in a service-based business before where we had many offices. I had to be on the ground. So I'd say, to answer your question, the trigger point for me was when I went online. And when I went online with my business now, I realized like, hey, like I need a computer and a phone. I'm remote.
Yes.
I don't need to be in a city, and I don't need to be with my staff within an office. And
yes,
that was kind of my entry point into, I guess, changing my lifestyle and reorganizing my day and living in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of what you've said is, so you are able to reorganize your day and live by your own terms. And you're one person that absolutely lives by his own terms, which is just so inspirational to see. But the beauty of what you've created is you are allowing so many other people to create that in their own lives through becoming a buyer's agent with the Buyer's Agent Institute. So everything is online. There are people that are becoming buyer's agent through BAI with the online courses, and giving themselves the time and money freedom through creating another source of income. So that's really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at BAI, like when I started the company, was, like I said earlier, I mean, I came from a corporate background. Like I was really grateful that I went into that space because I realized that's not what I want to do with my life. No disrespect. I work with very intelligent people and I learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But I was just like, hey, like this is not me. Like I can't be creative here. Like my creative energy is gone. in terms of getting remunerated for what I'm worth is gone. Like there was just too many signs where I'm like, hey, like this, I'm not cut for this. So I think that when I moved and started my first business, which was Cohen Handler, I started to then get a taste. I was like, hey, that was probably the biggest transformational time or journey of my life, which was starting my first business. Like I always tell people, they always ask me like, hey, like, what do you recommend? Like if you want to like have a big shift in your life. And I always say like if you haven't started a business, start a business. Like you get to know yourself pretty quick. So when I started the Institute, because I went through such a transformational journey of starting a buyer's agent business, I thought, going back to some of the comments you made around, what we're doing for people, becoming a buyer's agent is like the output for me. It's like what you become, but the platform of joining the Institute, and you've met a lot of the members, it's more, I'm just trying to create some form of change. Some of them might not even become a buyer's agent. They may quit their job, like as a lawyer, and become a recruiter, and they're happy now. And that to me is a win. I've created change, transformation, win. So I'm just trying to be a conduit for these people to, like, I guess, tap into their higher calling and do something that they care more about. Like, and then becoming a buyer's agent is just a byproduct.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were sharing that, like my experience with Buyer's Agent Institute is exactly that. You've got a whole platform of not just becoming a buyer's agent, that's one element of it, but it's a wraparound platform with mindset, with supporting. It's a community too. It's a belonging where people belong. It's just absolutely transformational. And as you were sharing that, Ben, the word that came to my mind and in my heart was freedom. And it's interesting because you are a person in my network that represents freedom. So freedom to be yourself, freedom to live life by your own terms, freedom to make decisions in your life and be completely you. So it's interesting that, one of the words that would describe yourself, Ben, is what, as you were sharing what you have created for your clients and for your incredible community, it's the word that you're giving to them also.
Yes.
Yeah. So it gives them another.
Oh, sorry, there's a bit of a lag. Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I might have missed the last bit, but I'll just, you can jump in if I kind of veer in a different direction. But yeah, we obviously at BAI, like, we value mindset, and obviously you came highly recommended through students who obviously had worked with you prior, who had mentioned your name to me. And I would say one of the biggest roadblocks in real estate when I got into this space as to why people don't succeed, like why people fail, I would say is because of mindset. And I think if you're not in a highly technical role, I think it's what kills a lot of people, like mentally, in terms of moving forward. And so, yes, like we've got someone like you who's an expert who leads the charge in that regard. And I guess we just try and support people in many different areas, like whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's some form of technology understanding. We're trying to obviously teach people, I guess, skills that you're not taught at school. Like there's a lot of stuff you're not taught about at school, even at university. And we're trying to bring that into the mix so people can actually succeed in the real world.
Yeah, for sure. And it's amazing, there is so much we're not taught at school. We're not taught about ourselves. We're not taught about, earning money for ourselves. We're in some ways, like, I absolutely value my education and I'd never give it up. But in some ways it limits you and it takes away some of that power that you have to then unlearn what you've learned and learn the truth of who you are and develop these skills again. So yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. Yeah.
And that's, I mean,
Sure.
that's challenging. I think that's challenging in itself, right? Like what you just said, I think I can't speak for everyone, but I think for a lot of people, definitely including myself, like as I grew up, your authenticity gets stripped away, whether it's family related, programming, or their belief systems on you. And then you go to school, you've got other people, um, again, surrounding you, and you're starting to sometimes change, from my experience, and become someone who you, at your essence, you're not. And so you're right. Like when you start to step more into yourself and become more you and become more authentic, you're right. Like you need to relearn new habits, reset value systems, reset belief systems. And so it's an entire process that, um, you've got to work through, and it's challenging. And I think you got to be ready to show up and do the work. And I feel like, I think being authentic is a very big competitive advantage in the marketplace. And so I think that if you can tap into yourself, then, you've got a higher chance of winning as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like, education and all of those expectations and paradigms that we're taught as we're growing up. They're created to make you fit in a box, but it
Mm.
is absolutely our uniqueness where the power is. You mentioned earlier that, when you were in the corporate field, and of course, there are some people that do incredible work in the corporate field, and that's what they want to do. But it took away your creativity, took away the truth of who you are. So then, you got into business, and you noticed with your first business and the businesses after that, you were able to start to create and serve and empower people through a fuller expression of who you are. So yeah, there is a lot of unlearning, and learning to do that. What would your recommendation, what would you say to people that, aren't happy, with status quo, from your experience?
I mean, I find that like people who aren't happy with the status quo typically have a deeper level of awareness. Number one, like something's just like they're looking at things through a different lens, like because they're not just following the herd, right? They're just like, hey, there's something not right here, or something like that I feel could be done differently. And so I think to those people, I think they've already got a tick with awareness. Um, I think that those people, I feel like, have the ability to create and like do like remarkable things. I really feel like the people that look through a different lens, in my experience, like entrepreneurs or people that I just meet who maybe aren't successful in business, I just feel like they've got a lot of value to add, because they're thinking differently. And so, I'd challenge those people to tap into themselves and actually think about like, you know, what could they be doing? Like, what problems could they be solving? Um, what do they really care about? Like, what's something like, I feel like why I did really well in my first business was it wasn't really difficult. I just really cared about the problem I was solving a lot.
Yeah.
I identified a problem, which was buyers were heavily misrepresented in Australia. And I was like, this is out
Yeah.
of whack. Um, like this needs to be solved. Like buyers need
Yes.
representation, and so I just cared about the problem. I started out, I was this young guy in my like early mid-20s, and like people weren't buying into my experience. I had no experience. I'd never ran a business. I'd never worked in sales. I'd never worked in traditional real estate. Like they weren't buying into, yeah, all the runs on the board. I didn't have them, and so I think what they bought into was my why. I was talking about like why I was doing this, like why I'd started a
Yes.
business, why I'm going to represent you, like not what I'm doing, not like it's just
Yes.
not how I'm doing it. It's just like this is why. And so I feel like, getting back to your question, like I think people need to find something extremely purposeful, that they deeply care about. And I think if you can then look through that different lens, um, there's very big opportunity out there.
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So a truly successful person is somebody that finds something that they care about, a problem that needs to be solved, that they care enough about that they're going to go out and help solve that problem. And what you said, oh my God, so many gold nuggets in that. So you also said, experience doesn't really matter. If you care enough and you just serve and you help solve the problem, success will come. Absolutely beautiful. I love also what you said about status quo. When I asked the question first, Ben, like you said, people that generally are not happy with status quo and how life is, first of all, number one thing is they have awareness. They have awareness that, something is not right. So anybody watching this, if you are not happy with your situation, flip it over, okay? You have awareness. You have awareness, and you're able to look beyond what's happening. You're not like, just following the system. You are aware that something's not right. You also said that they generally have creativity. So the next thing is tap into your creativity and find your why. What is something that you care about enough that you want to help others to resolve? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add to that. So I think so that there's awareness, there's creativity. And the reason I say creativity, even if someone's quite technical, is I think the fact that they've had ideation processes around, doing something maybe differently or going down a different pathway, I think is creative. But the third thing I'll add is curiosity. So I think anyone who's challenging the status quo is highly curious. They're asking different questions. They could be asking better questions, but they're asking questions. And I think that's one of my values is curiosity. Like my personal values is curiosity. And I deeply admire curious people. So I think if you're curious, you got self-awareness, you're creative, like I think you're ahead of most people and you just got to execute.
Absolutely. And you have an interest, right? If you're curious, you're interested and you're interested in other people, you're interested in solving their problems. So then, success will come naturally. Once you develop the habit, you get over maybe your paradigms, or once you start, because even in sales, the greatest salespeople in the world are not people that, talk. It's people that listen and that are curious and ask the right questions. And then if they have the solution, they offer it. So yeah, love that. Love that. So awareness, creativity, curiosity, and service, caring deeply enough. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ben, one of the things, so I've worked with, as you know, many, many people around the world, some starting out in business that don't know, that have had some success in their lives already, don't know anything about business, some that have already got multiple $1 million companies and want to get the company to the next level. And one of the things, there are a few things that actually are common with most people that want to level up. One is the M word, money. Money comes up with 99% of people that I work with, even the people that have money. That's interesting. It's so interesting. The other thing is, even the ones that have got self-awareness need to change and let go of their old programming. But also, it is amazing. One of the things that holds a lot of people back is what other people think. Even most, some of the most successful people that I've worked with, when they level up, it's like, oh, I'm afraid to go out there because what are people going to think? People have known me like this and now I'm doing this, or my team has known me as this person, or my wife or husband or whatever. And you are such a great leader And a leader is somebody that leads with a great leader is somebody that leads by example. And the reason I say that, not only have you had the success in terms of leading large companies, the success in terms of finding balance, but the success in terms of being completely who you are. So I've heard you say in some of your posts and everything, you walk barefoot, you don't buy a whole lot of new clothes, you're happy with the clothes that you've got, and you love plants, you love animals, you show up as you. And the reason why you do that is because you are authentic, but also you don't want to portray the external stuff that we think success is about. So it takes a lot of courage for a leader to be completely themselves. Have you always been somebody that is really strong in their own self-image and knows who they are, or is this something that you've developed as you've kind of, progressed and developed your own self and your own life?
I would say it's definitely something I've developed later in life. So definitely early on, I would say early on, self-image probably wasn't strong. I think looking back, it was more of a show, it was more fabricated, like more artificial. So yeah, like going back to like barefoot, like I like to, like, I just prefer like not wearing shoes because I don't know, I feel better. So, and there's science to back up if you're on actually grass, soil, or sand like that, you are going to feel better. So maybe that's why, because I'm on grass a lot. So no shoes. I don't need to wear shoes. So I'm not going to wear shoes. I think in terms of the life that I'm living now, like animals, and we live on on a property with land, so we're connected with a lot more plants, and we grow our food. I just think it's where I need to be now, and so it would just be so inaccurate for me to be portraying a different image online, or like sharing, like whether like, to give examples, like whether it was about fast cars or watches or just anything materialistic, like it just wouldn't be congruent. And so I guess I'm just showing up and sharing people the way that I live, which is how I live. And
yes,
I think like, again, going back to authenticity, I think it's a superpower. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they're in a program where they're not really being themselves. They're wearing multiple masks throughout the day. And I think for me, the biggest game changer was like when I was able to take off all the masks, like throw them in the bin, goodbye, burn them, and just show up with the mask that I want to wear. It's liberating. It's hard to beat.
So liberating, freedom. Again, the word freedom comes up. So yeah, absolutely. And what was the point, the change? So from caring to liberation.
Yeah, I think you made a comment earlier. Like, I think accepting that it's okay to be disliked, and that I want to escape the prison cell of other people's stories. Like if they've got a story about me, it's like, great. I'm not wearing that. And so I think the moment I started to really be okay with like, hey, it is so cool to be disliked, and I'm not going to wear other people's stories, their projections. I think that was an opportunity for me to lean in and go, hey, I'm just going to be me.
Yeah. Love it. So I had a conversation with my godmother. We went to lunch on Tuesday, and this is exactly what came up. She mentioned reading something about Anthony Hopkins, and him basically, the biggest freedom that he's had was not the money, not the status. All of that is wonderful. It was his purpose. He loves acting, etc. But the biggest freedom was when he stopped caring what other people said about him. And, he lives by his philosophy where that's fine. If you want to say that, that's okay. That's your business. I don't even need to know. I don't care. You know, and it's the most liberating thing that he has ever experienced in his life. And especially being, you know, in the media, like he was just, you know, the biggest freedom that you can find. So, for everybody that's watching, authenticity and freedom, they go together. What is authentically you? And how can you bring that authenticity up? And as Ben said, authenticity is your superpower. Wow. Love it.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a very I think it's very underutilized. And again, it's an observation from me, but I think it's very underutilized. Like I don't walk around like a basic example is like, you know, you walk around, let's say you go to a coffee store and you run into someone, you know, typically you're like, hey, like, how you doing to someone, like even the barista, or everyone's like, yeah, good. But like, not everyone's good, right? Like that's a load of shit. Like not everyone's good. They could have had a bad morning. They could be having a bad week. They might be going through a lot of emotional trauma, whatever it is. And so it's very rare, like you'll meet someone who'll be like, hey, today's not great. I'm actually not doing well. And I think that's a bit of a temp check for me on like authenticity. Just that to me is like a really good temp check on like who's showing up, because like everyone being good is just a load of BS. And so I think that, again, going back to what I said earlier, like it takes a lot of courage and a lot of work. Even that Anthony Hopkins example is a great example. Like to I think come to a realization that it's okay to be disliked. I think that's usually an entry point to then be like, okay, I'm going to be me. Like I might dress differently. I might do this differently. Like I might just be me. And so I think it just comes down to whether you want to kind of step into that field.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a life really worth living. You know, if we were all to imagine being at the end of our lives and looking back, I would imagine that would be one of people's biggest regrets, you know, worrying about what other people say, because at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. So definitely, absolutely. You said something there that was, again, you know, just, you know, absolutely critical. And, you know, it's about just really releasing, getting out of that prison cell, you know, that keeps you small. And it's when you just, you know, step out that, you know, you open up to bigger things, bigger experiences, a deeper knowing of yourself. But also, I think all of this, following a certain way that keeps us in a box is not only a lie to yourself, it's actually dangerous. It's quite dangerous. You know, we're living in like social media where all of the photos are looking great and everyone's great, and all you can say, you know, there's this thing about positive psychology where you have to think positive all of the time, but it's not real. It doesn't allow for the human experience. And, you know, we see, you know, mental health is rising, and that's because we're not able to say, well, one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, this is who I truly am, and today is a hard day. So, and I think, Ben, the world needs more leaders like yourself, and more male leaders like yourself that are able to say it is okay to show up as you. Doesn't make you any more or any less masculine, any more or any less a man. Doesn't make you, you know, any more or less successful. Show up as you, and also be vulnerable on the days that you feel like it's not going well. So, yeah, huge message, huge. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, for sure. Ben, I know that you are so busy. You've given us so many gold nuggets. Where could people find out more about the buyer's agent? I know people are looking for other sources of income. Some people are just looking to develop new skills, to tap into a community. Where can people find out about the Buyer's Agent Institute?
I would go direct to the website, buyersagentinstitute.com or .com.au, and you can get information on the site and just scroll around. And if it's something that is of interest, you can just inquire. Yeah, I'd say that's the best place. Or people can follow my Instagram handle at Benjamin Handler. I provide a lot of free content there. So yeah, they're the two places.
Fantastic. So Instagram at Benjamin Handler, buyersagentinstitute.com or .com.au. I'll put that in the comments. You're welcome to put it in the comments also. Ben is also on Facebook. You can reach out to him on Facebook. Please do check out the Buyers Agent Institute. Even if you're not, you feel like you don't know a lot about the real estate sector, you will learn so much, you'll gain so much, and who knows, it might give you an idea or inspire you for another source of income. Ben, just to wrap up, again, I thank you so much for your time. What would first of all, is there anything else that you'd love to add to the discussion we've had today? And what would your message to the world be?
Message, 2 words. Be you.
Be you. Wow. Be you.
That's it.
Love it. Love it. What a great way to wrap up. Nothing else to add. Be you. Be you. So my wish for all of you today is to find the courage to step out, be more authentic, and be you. Ben Handler, thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a pleasure, an honor, and I've enjoyed every minute of the time that we've had together. I'll have to bring you on another time so we can continue this discussion. Half an hour is not enough time. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you, Susanna. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. I will see you next week with the Success Series interview. Bye-bye.